And there's the BS of the day, folks. Anyway, welcome to another edition of the JJSports podcast. Joining you today, I'm your host, Joey.
And I'm Josh.
Let's get started with our first topic of the day, as of course we always – oh, yeah, I forgot. It's the playoffs, right? So hold on a sec. Hold on. I got to put this BS on. Hold on.
No. You can't do that. You can't do that, Joey. He's out. He's out. I don't want to see that name. I don't want to see that name. I don't want to see that name on this podcast as long as that guy is not playing today. I don't just mean like by the day.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. No LeBron. You know what? You lost in the first round, so I'll just wear Team USA because you can't hate on Team USA.
It's not LeBron.
What? No, that's not LeBron.
Is it not? Who is that? That looked like a 6 to me.
It is a 6. It's just not his.
Yeah, LeBron wore 6 back in the day.
It's Tracy McGrady, former Knick. Anyway, yeah. So you know what? Should we just talk about that one, or you just want to go with whatever the bracket says?
Let's just go by whatever the bracket says. Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Okay, yeah, the Knicks, they got their ass kicked. Like let's address the elephant in the room. Everyone thought it was gonna end in the second round for them, and it just didn't. So.
Okay. Listen, we had faith, but it didn't go our way.
Yeah. Anyway, let's just go by what we're like shocked, I guess, and not shocked by, Joey, so far.
We're not shocked by this and this and this.
We're not shocked by.
We're not shocked by the East, so let's just go to the West.
Not at all. Other than the Knicks, honestly, like
Yeah, I know, but still. So yeah. So
losing in 5. Like if they would have lost, I would have understood. But like losing like that, like just no. Other than that, I mean, Phoenix, I kind of expected them to win. But I did say it was going to go 7.
Yeah, but I said if AD's out, then I see it happening. If he's not, and he went out of the game early, so I'm just like, oh shit, it's over.
Yeah. Portland, Denver. That was a very.
That was a great game. Can we talk about Damian Lillard hitting 55 points and still losing?
He's a guy who could steal a series. He almost did it in Game 5.
Oh my God!
Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be in Game 6, and they kind of just they gave it. That was the.
By the way, when you think of Damian Lillard, where does he rank to you amongst point guards in this league?
Amongst point guards, I mean, he's definitely top 5. I don't know how he could be any less than.
I honestly see him as a 2. I really see him right behind.
I think Curry's the best in the game, but I think Lillard could be he could definitely be argued, and I mean, he was definitely 2 this year. Like you're wrong if you say it was anyone else.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like this year, he's definitely like, look at this. Look at this. This is not a fluke. 55 points in a playoff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was after a game which he barely broke double digits.
Yeah, the dude went on a tear and it just sucked because he did it all by himself and they couldn't close it out. And I was like, oh, this is the kind of game you're supposed to win. You know, it just bothered me. And at the end of the day, you know, even though you know what the craziest part of me? It's the Nuggets. It's the fact that the Nuggets won without Jamal Murray. Because this would be like with Jamal Murray, I wouldn't have been so surprised if they had to win. You know.
Yeah. But they've got Capazzo as their point guard now.
Capazzo and Austin Rivers and picking up Aaron Gordon. It's just like who knew?
Porter Jr.'s been popping off in the playoffs too. One of those younger guys who's stepping up now. So
and of course, the guy who I think is going to be the MVP this year, the Joker, Nikola Jokic, just doing his thing. It's just, it's fantastic. Anyway, so then we go to
Dallas.
This was a series that nobody won at home until Game 7, which was crazy.
And that was massive. That was absolutely massive. I honestly thought there was no chance the Clippers were going to win. They couldn't win on their home court, and I don't know what it was.
But neither did the Mavericks, though, right?
Right. And like the Mavericks blew this series, and I don't just say that because like numerically, they were up 3-2 and they ended up losing. Like no, they had a chance to stick a dagger in Los Angeles by stealing games 1 and 2 on the road, coming back with tons and tons of momentum, because it wasn't just in the first 2 rounds. Like obviously that's a good Clippers team, but at the same time, like they were a top 5 team record-wise since the All-Star break. They were like the 2nd or 3rd best team record-wise in the NBA since the All-Star break, and I was just shocked that like game 3, okay, maybe it's almost must win for the Clippers, or for anyone who's down 2-0, because if you lose game 3, you're nearly screwed. Very, very, very rarely does it happen that a team comes back to win from down 3-0 in a best of 7 series. But at the same time, I mean, game 4 too, like, it's not completely it's not completely, ridiculous that the Mavericks lost game 4 after the Clippers, kind of stopped their momentum and built some of their own. But I mean, just the way they played on home court, it didn't look like they wanted any of those games.
Josh, can you read this title for me, please, out loud?
I can if you pull it up.
Yeah, here you go. Wait, here.
Which one?
Read right here.
Mavs win tiebreaker for 2021 first round NBA draft order, which is good news for the Knicks. Yes, that's true, because the Knicks have the first round pick.
You don't have a first round pick this year. So thanks a lot, Dallas, for an early exit. That's all I had to say.
I mean, other than that,
also, actually, I also want to pull up one more thing. Porzingis was absolute dog shit in these playoffs. So enjoy him, Dallas. He had game 7, he was okay, but come on, man. You really thought you were getting Kristaps Porzingis, the guy who had 30-plus points a game before he got injured? Nope. Didn't happen. Sorry. Just for those people that thought we lost that trade.
I mean,
I say this, so yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, that brings us back to the bracket. The last one, Joey, Memphis, Utah. I mean, I told you I didn't think it was going
It wasn't a surprise. The only surprise was game 1. So
the only surprise was game 1.
Also, just before we continue, I didn't mention, I don't know if we talked about it last week, Jason Tatum had like a 50-point game. That's the one thing they had.
It was the one
that was crazy. That was crazy. So
Milwaukee, game 3. Anyway, not Milwaukee.
So how would you would now like to predict rest of the way with
rest of the round?
So, all right. So we got 8 teams left. How would you like to start?
I'm just gonna do the Philly. I'm gonna go.
Okay.
West.
So Atlanta, shockingly, because it's a 5 seed, beats Philly.
Yeah.
It was a weird game at the end. It was getting close. And So
now look,
does that change your perception of the series?
I thought at first that Philly was going to get the Knicks. Now that they got the Hawks, and I mean, the Hawks proved that they were the better team between them and the Knicks. And look, there's only one team that was better than there were only 2 teams, that were better than Dallas in the second half since the All-Star break. They were Atlanta and the Nuggets, very surprisingly. The Nuggets were number 1, but Atlanta was number 2, and that was pardon if I said Mavericks were 2. It was Atlanta, sorry. The Hawks came into the postseason with a 27-11 record over the 38 games played prior. Nate McMillan turned that team from a team that couldn't defend for anything into a team that is electrifying from 3-point range, that could score in bunches, and turn them into a very solid defensive team as well. And I mean, look, I don't think Trae Young has really, excelled as much as anyone else on that team has. Bogdanovich taking a big step forward. Gallinari's taken a big step forward. Capella has always been great. He's improved. It's kind of crazy to think that. And guys like John Collins and DeAndre Hunter, who did an excellent job shutting down Julius Randle and RJ Barrett in the first round, who were both red hot coming into the playoffs, shut down yesterday. I believe it was yesterday, the Philadelphia 76ers' 2 best scoring options other than Joel Embiid, because you don't put those guys, that was Capella's man most of the time, but Tobias Harris and Seth Curry, who are both electrifying shooters and can go in on the drive. And I'm not going to lie, if Atlanta, even if Atlanta loses, I think they could steal this series. I mean, they've won 13 straight games on their home court. And I mean, they haven't lost a game. They've won 4 straight playoff games. Sorry. And I mean, they've done it partially on the road and partially at home. I really don't think, we talk about it all the time, Joey, that sometimes it's not the best team that wins it. It's the team that gets hot at the right time. And right now, the Hawks are hot at the best time possible. And, not even only in the first round, but now it's starting to carry over. And against the top seed in the Eastern Conference, I just don't. I almost can't see Philly winning, but I can't put them that easily. I say Atlanta in 5, and not 5. Sorry, I read the 5 as their seed. I say Atlanta in 7 in this series. Quite honestly, I don't think that they're going to lose a game on home court.
Yeah, I'm really pissed, but I gotta agree. Although I don't know if it's the better team won. I think it's more what you said a second ago. I think it's the hotter team won because the hotter team always wins, whether they're better or not. If they're hot, they're hot. So
and look, both of these teams went 5 games in the first round. So they both had a decent amount of time to rest, and they both had, fairly short first rounds.
Right. But you also got to factor that Joel Embiid got hurt at the end of the game. So is he going to play? That's a big part of their team. It's him and Simmons, Tobias Harris. Like, without Embiid, I don't know if they can win. I don't know. Yeah. So.
And look, the 76ers made it very interesting in the last couple seconds of the game, but they just had a very flat first half.
Yeah, so I'll say Atlanta in 7 because – no, I'll say Atlanta in 6. Say Atlanta in 6 because I don't know. With Joel Embiid, I don't think they have a big shot.
That wouldn't make sense. If I said Atlanta in 7, then they wouldn't have. Obviously, they'd lose a game on their home court.
I don't think.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, I think they'll steal their games at home, but I don't think they're going to win, which was weird because the whole year they seemed like one of the best teams in the league. So. Yeah, kind of weird. But Trae Young is on a mission. I don't know what happened.
Oh, yeah.
But he is on a mission, and, yeah, he might go all the way this year. I'm not even kidding. Like, the dude, he can't be stopped. It's hard. It's really hard. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So now, Milwaukee, Brooklyn.
What
do you think about this?
I honestly think Brooklyn's going to win this series. I really do. I know they lost game. I know they not Brooklyn. I meant Milwaukee. If I said that, I think Milwaukee's going to win the series. I think they do. I think that they will, even though they lost game 1. They to be fair, like the Heat were a good team coming in. They were on a hot streak. They were 12-4 in their last 16 coming into the postseason. But let's be realistic. Other than Jimmy Butler, that team only offers so much. Tyler Hero's great. He's breaking onto the scene, but he just doesn't have the playoff experience. And I think the aggressiveness as a guy like Butler, that team is quite inexperienced player-wise. Eric Spoelstra is a fantastic head coach. He always has been, but, that can only do so much for you in times when you only have so much talent also. And with that being said, they got steamrolled in the first round by Milwaukee. So did the Celtics, even though the fact, they managed to take a game and managed to give themselves hope. I don't think this Nets team has the experience as a team to beat Milwaukee, who's been to the conference finals, not the conference finals, who's been at least to the second round, like the last 3 or 4 seasons in a row. And in like 2 or 4, 3 or 4 of those seasons, they've made the conference finals at the very least. Like last season was the one time they didn't since they put this team together with Giannis and Middleton and Hill and DiVincenzo and all these guys. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, Harden's got plenty of experience on his own. Durant has plenty of experience on his own.
I'm trying to
experience on his own. Griffin has plenty of experience on his own as well. And Joe Harris, we know what he can do, but I just don't think this team is built to win as a team, at least this year. I think it's going to take him another year. And especially, Harden left the first game early. So, they played really well without him down the stretch, but I don't know if that's, now they know they're going to be without him and they'll probably have more time to focus on their game plan. But so will Milwaukee, who had to kind of plan around it, last second. So I think that'll help them out a little bit more than other people might think. And look, if they could steal game 2 on the road, it's going to be a heck of a series heading back to Milwaukee, that electric atmosphere in Milwaukee, and those fans who want it more than anything right now, because with the championship caliber team they had, and they added Drew Holiday. It doesn't really get that much. Better for Milwaukee at this point. Now all they have to do is beat the Nets, and they'll take it from there. But anyway, I see Milwaukee in 7. I think it's going to be a tight series.
Yeah. So just again, you kept saying it. I'm like waiting to say it. James Harden is not playing tonight. Okay, he's not. All right. Out of those 3, I know with the other two, I know the other two have won championships and stuff like that, but those two are super, super injury prone. I know James Harden also has his injuries, but James Harden was probably the healthiest out of those three, in my opinion. You could argue Kyrie, but James Harden was definitely the most impactful. I think that's without a doubt. Was the most impactful player on that team. He's the only guy that got MVP votes. Like if he got any, he's the one that got, not the other two. So him out is a big deal to me. Very, very big deal because he's their X factor. If he's not in there, then it's a much easier game because KD, he's not going to play too long because he's going to get himself hurt. And Kyrie can't play every minute because he'll get tired, right? So who's your game plan on their bench? Who's their bench? Because Blake Griffin's going to have to play starters now, right? And so will Joe Harris and Jeff Green. So you basically have no bench. So all Milwaukee needs to do is have their bench contribute, and they have such a good. You said some of them, DiVincenzo, Brook Lopez. I know Brook Lopez is starting. I'm trying to think who else is on the bench. DiVincenzo. Give me a second. Who did you say? For Milwaukee. Hello.
Giannis, Drew Holiday. I mean, like
I'm saying the bench.
Middleton.
Yeah, no, Chris Middleton's not on the bench. He's a starter. I was thinking.
Oh, just like that. I don't remember.
Let me check. Oh yeah, Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, Jeff Teague, and Donnie DiVincenzo. Right. So I like their bench better than the Nets bench because the Nets bench has just, I guess, Tyler Johnson and Nick Claxton. So I don't know. I honestly think Giannis, he's lost too many times. I think he's mad. I think he's playing angry now. I think he's going to beat them in 6. I feel like they're winning tonight, man. I see it happening, And once you went on the road, momentum's in your favor. So, yeah, I'll say Milwaukee in 6. I mean, yeah.
All right, and that brings us over to the Western Conference. Utah, LA. Pretty sure I predicted this in my second round matchup, and I believe I did pick LA to take this series. With that being said, they had trouble putting away the Mavericks. I know the Mavericks, were a hot team coming in.
Yeah, they almost.
Memphis also. I mean, like they clawed their way into the playoffs. I mean, they took out Stephen Curry. I mean, they were great, and they stole a game from Utah. Granted, I know they didn't have Donovan Mitchell, and I know I picked LA to win that series before, but now I just don't know if they will. I'm not as high a believer on them anymore. I want to say Utah in 6. Just for where we are right now. Like my other bracket isn't changing because like I locked those picks in and everything. But other than that, I mean, like right now, like if I had to say what I actually think is going to happen now, knowing what happened, I think Utah could take this series from them. And I know they're the higher seed; they'll have home court advantage. But I mean, do they have that championship experience, such as players on LA like Kawhi Leonard, like Paul George, like Ibaka, like Rondo, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, you said you hit down the head. So, what's your prediction for the series? Like,
I'm gonna take Utah from like here on out in 6, but in my like official bracket where I'm not changing picks, I picked LA in 7.
All right, this might be a hot take, but I feel like Utah is the best team in the league. I really do feel that way.
I mean, they were this season. That's not a question.
I know, but you know how they say regular season is playoffs, right? So a lot of times teams, fall to the whole thing like, oh, we're only a good regular season team. This is a good playoff team because as long as you have Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, you can go deep in the playoffs. I truly believe that because you don't just have those guys. You have such a good bevy of role players like Joe Ingles and Favors, and you have the 6th man of the year, Jordan Clarkson. The dude is playing amazing in this year's playoffs. So I gotta be honest. I'm gonna do a hot take. I'm saying Utah in 5 because if we're being honest here, the Clippers in Game 7, I know they won, but it looked like desperation mode the whole series. It looked like they were just trying. Like they played such a great game, and yeah, that can help you win games, but I don't know if that can help you win a series all the time. I would say that they had a better advantage against Dallas because Dallas was an undermanned team. They didn't have much star power outside of Luka. So, but Utah has a lot of star power, man. I just mentioned all those players. So And they have one of the best coaches in the league, Quinn Snyder. No offense to Tyronn Lue, but Quinn Snyder's a top 3 coach this year. He might even win Coach of the Year, if not Tibbs or Monty Williams. But yeah, or Doc Rivers. I'm saying Utah in 5. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Hot take a little bit, but yeah. And then we got Denver, Portland. And we gotta mention this. But Denver, Terry Stotts, right? He's been the coach of the Blazers for a few years. He got fired after this. Okay? So clearly, Denver must have shocked everyone with what they did, because the Blazers must have thought they had a shot, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't fire their coach. So Denver he hit the nail in the coffin, and he basically had them sign his resignation, I don't know if we talked about that. Anyway, Denver, Phoenix. This is probably I know Milwaukee and Brooklyn's the most NBA Finals type matchup, but this is the most intriguing matchup. These are two teams that were always mediocre or not amazing, and they never had true stars until recently. They've been the teams. It's because it's always been the LAs and the even Portland's been in the conference final, and Golden State, and Milwaukee and used to be the Spurs and the Heat and the City. No one talks about the Nuggets or the Suns, and now they're going to get all the exposure, all of it, because they're going to be primetime TNT tonight. Okay?
One of them is going at least to the conference finals, so we do know that as well.
Now, who is it going to be, man? Who's going to be the leader of men? Is it going to be Chris Paul, a for sure Hall of Famer when he retires, or is it going to be Nikola Jokic, the Joker, probably this year's MVP? Who are you taking, Josh?
Tough to bet against the MVP, but it's also tough to bet against a team that took out LeBron. And they are the tougher seed, I think. Not tougher. They are the top seed in this matchup. They are, I think, an all-around better team in terms of their depth scoring and their options. Don't get me wrong, Denver has that, but the problem is Denver is facing a Mets situation right now in the NBA where they've got some big names to fill. And while their bench players have done an excellent job in Austin Rivers and Farrakhan Campazzo, it's just not looking good for them, having to go up against the duo of Paul and Booker, Ayton as a big man, Mikal Bridges on, the shooting guard, unless it's going to be Booker, whatever, he'll knock down his threes. And on the bench, you've also got Cam Johnson, who's a big man threat who could also knock it down from deep. This is a tough Phoenix Suns team to beat. Again, you mentioned Monty Williams just prior with Quinn Snyder and Tom Thibodeau. They're going to be the candidates for Coach of the Year. Are not going to be. They are. And, Monty Williams, they almost took the first seed from the Jazz this season. And not just, the first seed in the West, first seed in the NBA, because that's what the Jazz got. I think that Phoenix wins this series in 6. It's unfortunate. I want to see Denver win. I want to see Jokic go farther. He's one of the most exciting players to watch. He's a big man who controls the pace of game. You almost never see that. But it's just, I think this is going to be the year that Chris Paul gets another crack at a championship, but they actually get there. Or could be the year. I don't think it will be.
I don't see Chris Paul. He has potential to maybe, we always talk about in every sport, that player that can never win, right? In football, everyone thinks about Dan Marino, right? He never won a Super Bowl. In hockey, recently with Lundqvist and Luongo, but also Marcel Dion. In baseball,
Patrick Marleau, how do you miss that?
Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton, yeah, but they're still playing, so I'm giving them a shot. And in baseball, I can't think of any on the top of my head. I think Ken Griffey Jr. never won. Pujols. No, Pujols.
He's won.
I'm stupid. That was sorry. So I'll say Griffey or McGuire or Sosa. One of them probably didn't win. Anyway, and then in basketball, we talk about Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing, right? Chris Paul is sadly might be in that conversation. And this might be one of his last years. He still got it. He still has another year or two that he has another chance. But this is probably his best shot to go to the NBA Finals, man. And I know this is the second round, but depending on who he plays, if he plays the Clippers, I think he has an amazing shot. I don't think they'll get there, but I think he has an amazing shot at the NBA Finals. If he plays the Jazz, it'd be hard. It'd be very hard. But I don't know, man. Chris Paul, he got, obviously he went to the conference final with the Rockets, But guess what? They actually probably could have won that series because that went to 7. He was out. He was out that game. People forget. He was out that game. You know, we might have had a different team for once in the NBA Finals because that was 4 years in a row, the same team. It's kind of boring at that point. I'm not going to lie. And I was just like, can we have at least a different team on one side? I'm going crazy here. But anyway, the point is, well, I like the MVP, and it's hard to bet against the MVP. Chris Paul's a Hall of Famer. Monty Williams might be the coach of the year, and Devin Booker is actually playing like the Mamba mentality. He legitimately is playing like a freak. We always knew he was a solid player, but we never knew, because we always thought like he was overrated just because like he never felt like he cared. Now he's playing like he cares. So I don't know, man. I'm pulling Chris Paul. I will say in 7. I'll say in 7 though, because Denver's such a pesky team and they'll get in your face and they're not going to make it easy. This is the one series I think will go to 7. I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, there you have it. That does it for our NBA segment. And
that's the NBA segment. Okay?
Just simply at this point, may the best team win.
Yes, and we will enjoy as we have no biases. And let me get this off. Okay, so now we're up to baseball, and I only have 1 or 2 things to talk about because we want to keep it short. So, Josh, why don't you start? I'm sure you have something to say about your team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to recap because we didn't do baseball and football last week. We did strictly playoff edition for the NBA and NHL postseason. So just to move on, I mean, ever since last week, Mets had a road trip. They went to Arizona and they went to San Diego this past weekend. With that being said, total of 7 games. They split 2 in San Diego with the Padres, and they took 2 of 3 from the Diamondbacks. So they went 4-3. They close out their road trip tomorrow with a game in Baltimore and the day after as well. And John Means, by the way, just a quick update, now on the injured list, their best pitcher. He's one of the pitchers this season who has thrown a no-hitter. And he faced the Mets back in Citi Field. That was the game they won on the walk-off, where he was given the lead. The bullpen blew it. Anyway, with that being said, I'm excited. Jacob deGrom, 2 masterful starts over the road trip, which he recorded wins in both, and also didn't allow an earned run or a run period in either of them. And I mean, look, Joey, I'm not looking to talk as early because deGrom's innings are a bit lower than some of the other pitchers. He has missed the start due to some injury concerns. But ever since coming back, I mean, he's only allowed 1 earned run or 2. I mean, like, he's only allowed 4 earned runs on the whole season. That's 4 earned runs and 58 innings of work, maybe like a third or 2/3 of an inning as well. And he's got a .61 ERA. I know that, the sample size might be a bit smaller compared to some other guys like Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, Tyler Rogers, who's been pitching excellent for the Marlins, and, obviously Trevor Bauer for the Dodgers, and, Yu Darvish for the Padres. But, I mean, with that being said, like, the most, like, anyone has in terms of innings on deGrom right now is only like 10, which isn't super crazy. I mean, like, he could do that in 2 starts also. And, I mean, he's still on pace. So, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. I'm only from the National League. I'm not going into the American League side of things because Garrett Cole is doing an excellent job so far for the Yankees this season. And as for who's also started to come around, which I'll end with, I mean, Billy McKinney's been an excellent pickup for the Mets so far. VR has been excellent. Hit the DL or the IL, for the last 2 days with a hamstring tightness, but he's back and he's looked good. Pilar's come back strong after being hit in the face by Shaw on the Braves, which was a scary moment. Alonso's come back strong after doing some electrical impulse rehabbing on his hand. And McCann started to wake up at the plate, but most importantly, and this is the one they've needed the most, without a doubt, is Francisco Lindor, who had a 7-game hit streak coming into yesterday's game. I don't know if he got a hit because I didn't get to watch it. I wasn't home for most of that, and they didn't show on the highlights. If I had to guess, he probably didn't get a hit. But at the same time, I mean, over his last 8 games, which is just over a week, he's hitting over 400. He's got like 4 home runs and I think like 8 or 9 RBIs. I mean, that's ridiculous. And he's also been playing fantastic defense, but I mean, he's been doing that for the most part all season. That's all I've really got. And all I could say is I'm just shocked the Mets are still in first place for 2 reasons. Because 1, Atlanta, I mean, we spoke about Marcell Ozuna, 2 episodes ago when we did baseball, but it's not looking great for them without him. And other than that, I mean, it's just shocking. Like everyone in the Mets division, including them, either has injuries or just has been underperforming. So, and they don't have their full team right now, which is the most gratifying thing. The last thing this is actually the last thing I'll say. The strength of schedule has been pretty easy for them so far, but you also have to take into account who they're missing. They're missing Conforto. They're missing McNeil. They're missing Davis, who had a hot start to the year. And on the pitching side, still no Syndergaard and Carrasco. So, we'll see what happens with that. But I mean, their bench been doing a good job, and as I said with the Nuggets, like that's what they're dealing with. No Jamal Murray, no, there's another player missing. I think Millsap is out for a game or two. Those are huge key role players. I mean, Conforto, McNeil, same thing for the Mets, and the fact that you've got excellent backup in McKinney and VR and Peraza have all done a good job. Similar situations. We'll see what happens in the future, but I like where they are right now. And I know that you're going to add to it on the Yankees side, but yeah, I mean, like that's all I have. I don't know if you have any input on it.
Nope. Anyway, so Josh, how do you feel about immaculate innings?
Yeah, I mean, they don't come so often.
It happened, and it was pretty cool. I got to watch one live. Here it is by Michael King. He threw in against the Red Sox, and that's actually – there's been a few in Yankees history, but this is the first one that ever happened between the Yankees and the Red Sox, which a lot of people would say is the biggest rivalry in sports. But whatever, I thought it was pretty cool, actually. I've never seen such a thing. It doesn't happen that often. It's actually kind of crazy. It was actually, I'll just skip to the end, but yeah, it was pretty nuts. And it wasn't against good hitters, so I don't know. It's kind of rough, it's yeah, that's all I'll say about that. But that's not the real thing I want to talk about though. Okay. So Josh, remember when we talked about Jesse Winker hitting 3 home runs?
Oh yeah.
So I saw that and I thought it was a mistake.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
It happened again. He hit 3 homers again, baby. He hit 3 homers again separately. Come on, baby. Let's go. What the hell?
By the way, I just want to say that the thing at the top just made me also think of some history. Cincinnati earns their first 4-game sweep at Busch since 1990. Now, I know it wasn't for Joey, and unfortunately for you on this side, but I mean, I feel like some history has to be mentioned that the Red Sox went into New York and swept the series for the first time since, what was it, like 1994, something like that?
It was a little later than that, I think.
A little later. Well, a long time. That's the bottom line.
I mean, like, I don't really care, though, because, like, it's baseball, man.
Right. I mean, like,
anything could happen, man. Who cares? It's the regular season. Like, it's fine. It's bound to happen, so whatever. We got injuries too, We got we have 2 random ass players in the field, like at first center. So it's just, it's not easy either. Anyway, let's talk about Jesse Winker because honestly, Josh, it's crazy how a team with Luis Castillo, Mike Moustakas, and Nick Castellanos, they have a team with all those amazing players, and Jesse Winker's probably their best player. That's what I feel like. I feel like this guy could be in consideration for the NL MVP. That's how good he's playing. He's so freaking good. Like, this guy's making the all-star team, no doubt. Like, if he doesn't get votes, if he doesn't make the starting outfield position, I will riot. I will go to Colorado and I will say, F you, Manfred, put this guy in the game.
Yeah.
Okay? Because
yeah, look, I mean, it's not only that. He also had the game-winning hit. It was it was solo shot. 8-7 was the final. He made it 8-7. And with that also being said, we're talking about guys, or just to mention another guy in contention for the MVP who's up there because now Jesse Winker has hit 17 home runs. It happened during the Mets-Padres series that Fernando Tatis Jr. also hit his 17th home run of the season. That was in the first game against, I believe it was Taijuan Walker. And at the same time, Acuna for the Braves also has 17 home runs. I mean, we're starting to see a power surge because there wasn't a lot of hitting in the first month of the season, first month and a half, 2 months. There were 7 no-hitters, 8 no-hitters thrown or something like that. Well, yeah, and now all of a sudden you see people starting to mash the ball. I mean, like Winker, 3 home runs now for the second time this season. Tatis is doing it. Acuna's doing it. Lindor's starting to wake up. And on the American League side, I mean, Ohtani's been doing it. Other than him, who's the other guy on that team? Jared Walsh. He's been mashing home runs all season long. It's very unlooked upon and very, very underrated. Like, this is the thing I laugh at in LA's face, not the Dodgers. I laugh at the Angels for this. Albert Pujols in his first 15 games has 4 home runs with the Dodgers. So I mean, honestly, Angels, screw yourselves. You get Mike Trout, great. You got Ohtani, who's probably going to be an MVP talks if he keeps playing the way he's playing this season. But I mean, how do you just laugh in someone's face like Albert Pujols? He's a for sure Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's an MVP, I think, multiple times. He's a World Series champion, and he's 3rd all time in RBIs and 5th all time in home runs. How do you do that? And not only that, but he won up to you by going to the better team in LA. That's probably very heavily favored. Not probably. They are very heavily favored to win the World Series this year. I don't care how they're doing. So they're still a good team. They've been 10, 15 games over 500. The Giants have just been very surprisingly hot. And I mean, the Padres have cooled off a little bit as of late, but I mean, they're still a good team.
So the thing is, I don't know. I like their team, but I feel like they have one of the worst management groups in the MLB, because I remember over a year ago they were gonna get a trade, and they were gonna get Jock Peterson. I don't know if you remember this, and the owner's just no, I don't know. He rejected the trade. They were gonna get Jock, and they said no.
You're talking about the Giants, right?
No, I'm talking about the Angels.
Oh, fine.
You know what I'm talking about? Do you remember this story? Over a year ago when the Dodgers had Jock, and they're oh, he's a lot of.
Oh yeah, no, now I know. I thought you said manager. I was what?
No.
Management. Yeah, okay. Fine.
Management, not manager. No,
yeah,
they have Joe Madden. They have Joe Madden. No, I'm not talking about the.
Yeah, manager. No, they're good. They're great in that department.
They're set at manager. I was talking about their front office or their.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. I mean, look, they also.
I was you could have had Jock, who's a lefty, and he's a great bat. Look what he's doing in Chicago right now. Look what he's doing. He's amazing. I'm just I get why the Dodgers had to let him go, because they spend so much freaking money, but no one else it just bothers me, And by the way, you mentioned with Tatis and Acuna, I feel like those are the 3 best hitters in the NL. I really feel like that. Acuna, Tatis, and Winker, I feel like are the 3 best hitters in the NL right now. I mean, although I want to give up props to my boy Jazz Chisholm, because his name is really fun to say, and he's surprisingly really good. I didn't know who he was before this year.
Yeah, he has been great.
Him, Akil Baddoo, I'm just who are these guys? But yeah, they're mashing. So.
And look, man, I mean, if we're going to talk about the MVP, this might sound biased, but I mean, I'm not going to not talk about Jacob deGrom. I mean, like I said, right now he's the front runner for the NL Cy Young. Granted, he's a little shorter on innings compared to some other pitchers, but it's not by that much. His ERA is by far the best in not only the National League, but in the majors right now among starting pitchers. At the same time, the dude has the highest batting average in the major leagues right now. Now, granted, he only hits once every 5 days. I mean, pitchers don't hit. The fact that he's getting a hit or 2 hits a game in 3 or 4 at-bats, and he's driving in, runs here and there, I can't not. I can't not mention it.
Come on, man. That batting average thing is flawed, though. He doesn't play every game. Come on, you wouldn't.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, okay, so even so, it doesn't matter if he makes the most of what he gets. He's probably look. I'm not saying he's going to win the Silver Slugger, but I mean, it's possible pitchers have won the MVP before.
Yeah, but I'm not giving it to him because of his batting average.
I know they're not giving it to him with his batting, but that would be the icing on the cake if he won the Cy
Young. I'm giving a pitcher. For batting average, I'm giving it to Shohei Ohtani. That's who I'm giving.
Yeah, obviously.
Because holy shit,
they're gonna name him the MVP as a one-way.
They're probably gonna name it the Babe Ruth Award or Shohei Ohtani. I don't know. They'll probably do, or maybe they'll name it after him.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we start to see more 2-way players come into the league, then it's possible. Anyway, I don't want to talk about baseball anymore. I want to be done with this.
Let's go to football, because this is already taking too long, and I got 3 things to talk about, and I will talk about them in the order that I see fit. So let's go with the one that, well, it wasn't a shock. It's still a surprise, if that makes sense. Josh, who would you say is the greatest kicker of all time?
Greatest kicker of all time. That's a tough question. I feel
Okay,
like
what comes to
probably
your
like
mind?
Adam Vinatieri, maybe.
Bingo. Adam Vinatieri has just retired. Thoughts?
Hell of a career. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Greatest kicker of all time.
He's played
Benefited
in multiple
Brady.
Super Bowls, and he's played with some of the greatest. Manning, like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Belichick as his coach. I mean, like,
and Tony Dungy. So
yeah. And don't forget on the defensive side of things. I mean, with Dwight Freeney and all those guys on that. I mean, that Colts team was loaded. I don't remember everyone on that team, and I don't remember anyone from that Patriots defense because that was a really long time ago. But I mean, hell of a career and Super Bowl champion.
I mean, that's for sure. Okay. I watch Pat McAfee all the time, so he always says a story about.
Oh, McAfee also, like, very good analytics, but a very good analyst, by the way.
No, I love him. He's fantastic. He's electric. He makes the game much more fun. They should have more analysts like him, just like unfiltered. Not super unfiltered, but just like free and not like whatever. Anyway, he always has a story because he was on the Colts about Peyton Manning or Adam Vinatieri and just like how awesome there was. And it just adds to their legend and everything. So, you know what? It's like, I'm not so like, you know what I said? I'm not shocked. I'm a little surprised, but it was his time. He was dying down. He was missing bad kicks this year. And it's just like, I can't see him miss anymore. It hurts too much, you know? I don't know if you remember U-Tree every week he's like, oh, go get your gun, Johnny, or something. Like he was gonna like old you.
Yeah, I do.
And I'm just like, you know what? It's at least he went on his own terms. So I'm happy for him. He had a great career. I personally feel like you're the reason Brady won some of his rings. No offense to Brady. I really do feel that way. You were the clutchest kicker of all time. So yeah, you're going in the Hall of Fame. Have a good career. And then the second thing, also part of the Patriots. So Josh, as you know, many teams, when they go to the Super Bowl, they don't always have a number one running back. They usually do a platoon. So the Patriots, when they went 3 years in a row, who was their running back platoons? Do you remember? Who do you remember?
Well, you had a little bit of Rex Burkhead, a little bit of Sony Michel, a little bit of James White, a little bit of
Deion Lewis, right? And Sony Michel, right? So one of them, Rex Burkhead, has just signed with the Houston Texans. He is joining. Okay. Yeah. So any thoughts on that? After they also got Ingram and I think Philip Lindsay and.
Yeah, I mean, this is turning out to be it's turning out to be a deep backfield. I mean, they have Johnson, they have Lindsay, they have Ingram. I feel like someone's going to be optioned to become a receiver, if that makes sense.
Who I know put money on to be the receiver.
Probably David Johnson because I think he's the best receiving back. I mean, Burkhead's pretty good also, but I feel like David Johnson just has more capability of doing better as a receiver. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me as much now that they have. I mean, these are 4 very solid running backs. I mean, like Burkhead's been an excellent option in New England this whole time, and even before when he was with the Bengals also. And he was with Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill, and now you've got Philip Lindsay, who is proven that he's a pretty good undrafted player who's made a nice career for himself so far, and hopefully will only continue to grow. Johnson, who was considered to be the best running back in the league prior to getting injured, and then when Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara all burst onto the scene, and Mark Ingram, who's had a very solid career as well with the Saints, with the Ravens, and now looking to build on it more here in Houston. So I think it's an interesting move. I like the depth that they have. They've had injuries over the last few years. And some of these guys, a little bit older, a little more injury prone, because Lindsay and Johnson are more injury prone. Ingram's a little bit on the older side. Burkhead's a guy I think they like having in that mix. And I don't know, I'm expecting a lot of run plays and rushed offense from this Houston backfield.
Okay. And then there's just 2 more quick things that we're gonna. All right. So I don't know if you remember Tony Jefferson. I don't know if you remember him. He was this older safety. So the Niners signed him, and then offensive tackle Juwan James is signing a 2-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens. So yeah, that helps after they lost. They traded Orlando Brown Jr. to the Chiefs. But the big news is this, Josh. We were talking all season. What do you think the biggest story of the offseason was ever since draft night? Because that's when they decided to drop the bomb. What comes to mind?
I feel like the Broncos do.
No, I'm saying which player, not the Broncos.
Oh.
Maybe with the Broncos, but which player?
I mean, it's
It's Aaron Rodgers. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like I was thinking of like replacement draft players, but okay.
No, I meant like what was just the story of the offseason?
Oh yeah, and Rodgers.
The whole thing is like Rodgers leaving and everything. So to me, I had one thought. I'm like, even if they give him money, it's not going to help because the team still is lacking in certain areas. So one thing they could do is trade for a really good player. And that player did not go there. He went to another team. He was a player that we thought were going to go either to the Packers, the Patriots, the 49ers, or the Colts. Who am I talking about, Josh? I'm talking about Julio Jones, who has just been traded to the Tennessee Titans. Holy shit. He was traded to the Tennessee Titans. This is not a joke. This is real. ESPN confirmed it. He's playing with Ryan Tannehill. He's playing with A.J. Hollywood Brown. And, yeah.
It's not Hollywood. It's just A.J.
I'm thinking of the other one.
Hollywood is on the Ravens.
Yeah, sorry. He's playing with A.J. Brown. And, yeah, it's going to be – it's real, man. It's real. And what do you think about that? And Derrick Henry. He's playing with A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. This offense is about to get lit. Oh, my God.
I don't know what else to say. I really don't. I don't know. Not even what else. I don't know what to say. Just, I mean, situation we face. They just talent. This is going to be such a threatening offense, and they were last year. They basically just like took Corey Davis and turned him into Julio Jones. Now,
I heard some people.
It wasn't that exact trade, but I mean, like, yeah, they're just that much better right now.
Yeah, I've heard some people be like, "Oh, I'd rather have Corey Davis," and I'm just like, "No, you wouldn't." Julio Jones,
whatever you're smoking, yeah.
Like I don't know if you saw, like Keyshawn Johnson's like, "Nah, come on, man. Corey Davis was so good," and it's like, no, that was 1 year. He had one really good year, man. He's one of the most overrated receivers in the league, and I'm happy the Jets got him, so they'll realize that. Anyway, holy shit, Julio Jones. A top 3, maybe even the best receiver in the league right now. Obviously, people will say DeAndre Hopkins, Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham, Michael Thomas. There's a lot of people, but I really do believe that Julio is still a top 3 player. I still believe that, man. He's so good. I mean, this team, like, who's in their way? Jaguars are rebuilding. They're not going to do anything. Trevor Lawrence could have a good year, but he's not going to the playoffs. Okay, Texans are fucked. So who's in their way? The Colts? Like, come on, man.
It might be.
I know, man. But who are you trusting right now? Are you trusting Ryan Tannehill or Carson Wentz? Okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Point well taken.
Because Ryan Tannehill, okay, if this was 3 years ago when Ryan Tannehill was on the Dolphins and Carson Wentz before he got injured, right? Like the year he went to the Super Bowl, then I would say the opposite. But it's not the opposite because now Wentz had a massive injury, and Tannehill has got away from Adam Gase. So I think, I don't know, man. Obviously, if you switch them, who's in a better position, that's a actually interesting debate. But the point is, Julio Jones is now on a premier team in the league. Okay, like they were already a solid team. Now this might put them over the top. They might go all the way to the AFC Championship again, maybe even the Super Bowl, because. I mean, it depends, right? It depends on what the Chiefs do and the Ravens. But, yeah, like, this is going to be a good team. I can tell, man. This is going to be a good team. And that's all I got to say about football. And you have anything to add, or?
Nope. I don't have
All right, yeah. All right, fuck it. And then our last topic, of course, is hockey. And, Josh, what would you like to do first? Would you like to do playoffs, or would you like to do?
No, I want to let's get the home team stuff out of the way. Let's end it off on a high note with playoffs. But Joey, I feel like it would only be fair if you let me break the news since.
Okay, Josh, I'm just gonna pull it up and you set the stage. Go ahead.
All right, guys. Well, let's set the stage first. Last season, Rangers come into the NHL season having a lot more expectations after a pretty solid 2019-20 season. For where they shaky start in the first half, incredible ending in the second half, and they got absolutely destroyed in the qualifying round, swept in 3 games by the Carolina Hurricanes, a team they had swept that regular season. Now, granted, yes, neutral site, change of scenery, COVID-19 outbreak in a bubble. Yeah, no excuses. Like, they should have played a lot better, and they just played like they didn't deserve.
Wait, Josh, one question. Remember what you told me about this where did you see that? Because I'm looking for it and I can't find it. Can you send to me what you saw? I want to make sure it's not fake.
I shall send it to you.
Because I can't find it for some reason. I feel like it would pop up.
I mean, it's a Twitter thing.
Who said it? Well, whatever. You'll tell me in a second. Just let me see it. Sorry, folks. We don't want to spread fake news, by accident. So we're just verifying this real quick. And this one hits close to home if you haven't already figured out what it is. So
now, all right, you're gonna see a screenshot of this, Joey. I can't.
I'll pull it up if I see it, but I don't see anything. So
anyway, moving on to it. You can do whatever you want with that other image that was on.
Should I share my screen and you show it? Because I don't see it. So should I let you share your screen or?
I can't share it. It's on my phone.
So can you just send it to me? Because I don't see anything.
I did. I sent it to you on WhatsApp, sir.
Okay, fine. Whatever. I'll take your word for it. I guess mine's slow or something.
Well, anyway, with that being said, coming in, what, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, with that being said, where were we? All right. Okay. Rangers get absolutely demolished in the first round. Coming to this season, higher expectations. They make some off-season moves. They bring in Kevin Rooney. They bring in Colin Blackwell, and they extend Chris Kreider. I mean, like, what else are we? Not much else. Just Sturgeon comes up. Obviously, no more Marchessault, no more Henrik Lundqvist, and that means that also extending D'Angelo and they extend Georgiev. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Okay.
Oh boy.
Oh, sorry. They also bring up Keandre Miller. Okay. And let's start with the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying for the start of the season.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
D'Angelo gets absolutely just like hammered, and he's gone. Okay, not exactly how things were planned. Let's see. Zibanejad has COVID to start the season. And like, granted, he was healthy. He came back from it, like, under protocol and like scientifically speaking, but he wasn't, the Mika Zibanejad that finished the best goals per game average in the NHL the season before. And then, well, let's see. Panarin took a 2-week leave of absence after being falsely accused of, things that we're not going to specify in his home country. And I mean, that really left them banged up. Shesterkin got hurt. Georgiev got hurt. They had Keith Kincaid playing goalie for them, who, by the way, was great, but didn't get much offensive help. And then that defense got battered around. Lindgren had a couple games off with injury. Trouba had a couple games off with injury. That they were bringing up guys like Tarmo Reunanen, to help fill the shoes. With that being said, Jesper Fast also not, gone. He was gone from the start, leaving to Carolina. But then the thing you would expect to happen that would have completely screwed this season actually turned it around. And David Quinn and the whole Rangers coaching staff got COVID. And that left Chris Knoblauch to come up and act as the head coach, from the Hartford Wolfpack, with the assistant general manager. And that left a decision because the Rangers, in 5 games with them as their acting head coach, 6 games, went 4-1-1. So they had secured, 4-1. That's 9 of 12 possible points. Good over a 6-game span. And granted, that one loss was also just a 1-goal game, which they blew a late lead to Washington, in Washington. They had some great comeback wins. They had some great blowout wins and an exciting, unfortunately they lost in a shootout, but, an exciting game till the end against the Philadelphia Flyers, who were, by the way, a lot better at the time than at the time of recording this now. And then, unfortunately, David Quinn comes back and started messing up the lines again. And, yeah, I mean, like, some players kept playing good, but, whatever. We're not going to talk about that. And then it comes time for the playoff push, and the Rangers are sitting 2 points out of a playoff spot, and they drop a tough one to the Flyers. And at the same time, the Islanders, who are in fourth place for that last spot, win. And then they separate four, and then they go to play the Islanders, and they get absolutely destroyed, all because David Quinn, what the hell were you doing? Started Igor Shesterkin over Alexander Georgiev in 3 straight games. And not once, not twice, but 3 times, the Rangers got absolutely murked by the Islanders. And that was the death blow to their season. Didn't mathematically eliminate them, but they needed to win 6 in a row, and they needed Boston or the Islanders, like both of them were at the same point, to lose 5 in a row in regulation. It just wasn't meant to be. And then to cap it all off, on the night they were eliminated, Panarin almost got killed. And whoops, that's unfortunate. Panarin almost got killed. And Tom Wilson somehow only got fined $5,000. So with that being said, Joey, terrible, terrible ending to the season. What should have been a lot better. Okay. Now I know what you told me. I'm just gonna let you know that. But I will tell you, okay, because I got this update just before you sent. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you after this thing because I don't want to take away too much more time. But I will read this on what's it called? I will read this. It's by
Okay.
I just lost it on my Twitter. Well, anyway, let's get there first. Anyway, with that being said, Rangers missed the playoffs, and because of predominantly that Tom Wilson incident, James Dolan decided after he got fined $250,000 that he was just going to clean house. And unfortunately, Jeff Gordon and John Davidson are gone. Slap in the face. I didn't agree with it at the time, but at least he got the next best guy for them in Chris Drury, former Rangers player, Stanley Cup winner of the last 2 decades, won with the Avalanche against the Devils, and also, former he's a Hall of Famer too. And he's been with this Rangers, he's been in that front office, as an assistant to Jeff Gordon and John Davidson this whole time. So at least, and he's gotten offers from other places we spoke about. And what did he do? Now, I'm just going to say this source was not 100% true, but there is another source that is coming up saying, trying to confirm how close they are. For those of you who don't know, the World Championship ended just yesterday in Latvia. Team Canada won. And Team Canada's coach, as we've mentioned, has been interviewed by the Rangers, was the former Golden Knights head coach. And Joey, why don't you fill in the blank?
I'm sorry, what was the question? Can you repeat that again? I can't.
Former Golden Knights head coach and Team Canada's coach in the World Championship in Latvia this past team was
Gerard Gallant.
Gerard Gallant, who the Rangers interviewed first for the job of their head coach because David Quinn, thank God, got his ass sent out of town. He made strides with this team, but not the right coach for them moving forward. Like I've been saying, they should have been ready to compete to some extent this year, and they just weren't because he was a terrible coach.
Josh, he's not pulling any punches today, folks. He is.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. So while we don't have a complete.
With that being said, Gerard Gallant is heavily in talks right now with the Rangers for getting that coaching job. Now, there was reports saying that prior to the championship game that he accepted a job, however, not super trustworthy. And, but we figured that was probably too good to be true. Like he'd probably be focusing on his championship game in Latvia more than he would this. Because no matter what, he's getting an opportunity, whether it's going to be Seattle, whether it's going to be with the Rangers, whether it might be with the Coyotes or the Hurricanes, like whoever needs a head coach, like even if they have other shoes that could possibly fill. But right, there's are zeroing in and basically going in for the kill that they want to get Gerard Gallant. And I don't know if you have anything to add on that, Joey, but
yeah,
I mean, how can you not be excited?
So yeah, just to add, because it's not official yet, he's the front runner. But we also got to remember Rick Tocchet as well. He been a coach. He also got a second interview. So anyone who has a second interview is officially like in the talks, right? There are rumors that they're waiting on, how the playoffs play out for people like Rod the Bod or Trotz or Bruce Cassidy, or even people who are already eliminated, like what's his name?
Give me the team.
No, hold on. I just had it.
Give me the team.
No, just hold on. Just let me do it myself, please. It was oh, now I remember. Okay, so who did Mike Sullivan, yeah. Who Rick Tocchet played with. Anyway, so yeah, Mike Sullivan and maybe Paul Maurice. So there's a lot of maybes out there. And we also talked about possible returns, because Torts is on the open market, and there are people that haven't coached in over a year, like Babcock and Boudreaux and Claude Julien. So honestly, the way I see it, it really is just going to go down between Tocchet and Gallant, and whoever gets this job, the other one's probably going to get Seattle, because no way Torts is going to coach either of those teams. So yeah, it's not happening. You're not bringing him back to New York, and he's not starting from scratch with a team like that, because that team needs to pull a Vegas and just erupt. So with Torts, it might happen. I don't know. Maybe they'll hire him. I don't think they will though. Anyway, that's all we have to say. Right? That's all we should say right now, because again, it's not official yet.
Yeah, we don't want to spread false information, but
yes, no fake news on this YouTube channel podcast thingy. Anyway, let's get into what did happen, and let's just do what we did with NHL. Let's do with the NHL what we did with NBA. So we had some wild games last night, and that's not like a pun because of the wild. That's just like they were crazy. So last time we talked, we just went over all the rounds. I think they were all done at that point, and now we're just in the middle of them. So which one you want to talk about first?
I think we got to go Boston, New York. I mean, it's on.
Yeah, so it's 2-2, and I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's like these teams are not so great. Both of them are like good, but they're not elite teams. Although I will say that Boston's top 6 is kind of deadly.
Yeah, they've been ever since Taylor Hall, which you wouldn't have expected because he was dog shit with the Sabres.
Yeah, but he was with the Sabres.
Beyond, not even just, like beyond dog shit with the Sabres, has come alive in Boston. And for some strange reason, that team has been nearly unstoppable with him. They reverse swept the Capitals. I mean, like, for crying out loud. But I told you coming into this series, Joey. I told you, like, I'm doing the same thing. I have my predictions that were locked in for my first bracket. I'm just assessing by the situation we're in right now. And if there's any team that could knock them off earlier, I think the Islanders would be that team, just because they're so damn annoying to play against. Like, they don't give you much. They really don't. And that game 5 is going to be tonight in Boston. Islanders won the last game in Boston. While they did lose game 3, that was a crazy game. They dominated play for the most part, which I did not expect. Now, granted, they lost in overtime and they had to tie it late. I don't think it was a game they should have lost. And I'm not saying like they deserved to lose it because they gave up the overtime winning goal. It was a weird goal to Brad Marchand from a sharp angle that deflected off things in front. And I mean, like, they really took it to Boston in game 4 because, they stuck with them, and it was pretty evenly matched up until like 5 minutes left in the game when the Islanders poured on 4 unanswered. 3 unanswered after they took the lead. It was 4 unanswered in total, I believe. Sorry.
Right.
4-1 final, 3 unanswered.
I gotta say, that system you're referring to, that will only take you so far. I'm sorry.
It will only take you so far.
That will not work. That will not work against Tampa. That will not work against Colorado, and that will not work against Vegas. Any other team?
Perfectly fine if it does not work against any of those teams. As long as it works against Boston, I am a happy camper. Like I've been saying,
I hate Boston.
Either we're effed or we are effed with this series win.
We're effed either way.
But I might as well just root for New York in this case just because I freaking hate Boston.
I hate Boston too, but I really don't think they're going to lose. I just don't see it. They got the rat on their team. He's literally a pest.
The Isles have the Eggman, so what's your point?
No, man, the rat is a pest. He's a pest. I don't even know who the Eggman is. Who the hell is that?
Barry Trotz, you idiot.
Yeah, but he's not a player.
Doesn't matter, bro.
Why do we call him the Eggman?
Behind this defensive juggernaut that is the Islanders. Defensive juggernaut. I said defensive for a reason. They can't score for them.
He's not playing on the floor.
They can barely score for them. Like, more than half their goals in this postseason, I'm nearly positive, have been empty nets. Like, I don't know about more than half, but a good amount of them have been empty netters. Like, they had 2 against Boston the other game.
Who is empty netters?
The Islanders.
I'm saying, like, they score crap goals. Like, they're either really crappy or really lucky. Like, there's no, like, skill in their game outside of Barzal. I really believe that. Like, that goal Marchessault scored, I didn't even think that was a goal. It didn't look like a goal. The angle was weird, right? I was confused. I'm like, that didn't go in. That was a crazy shot. I couldn't believe it. I was going nuts. How did he do that? It just sucks. It sucks because I hate him. And because of him and many other people on his line and right below him with Hall and Krejci and
Ross
and DeBrusque and Craig Smith. Craig Smith is on this team, man. He's doing well. You thought he was some dude in Nashville. He actually didn't suck, as far as I know. So, and you got Tuukka Rask, okay, who's better than any goalie the Islanders will put out there. That's just a fact. That's a fact. So,
anyway, let's put an end to this series. Like, what are we saying?
I will say Boston in 6.
Okay,
because only go 6 or 7. So
actually, I'm taking Islanders in 7. Islanders in 7, just in case they lose Game 5. I don't think there's any way they're losing Game 6, whether it's a closeout game or a potential like they go home elimination game.
No, I hear you. I think like if they had momentum, right? But I just don't think they do. I think they had, they were playing at home, and I think that was just a big advantage for them. They play great at home. That's just true.
Look, I do want to say this. This series is looking a lot like the first round of the playoffs when they played the Penguins configuration-wise. Granted, it hasn't been the same order of wins and losses. It's been the same type. The first one of their series that they got in Pittsburgh was an overtime winner. The second one, they won Game 4 at home. The third one, they won in overtime. I mean, that's the one that would be coming tonight. If they won it on the road, it'd be just like Pittsburgh. And if they win Game 6, they'd close it out on home ice. So far, it's been shaping up just like the Pittsburgh Penguins series. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying I'm reminiscing about that. And it's like, oh my gosh, like the Office meme, it's happening. Like it might very well be a thing again against a team they weren't projected to beat. That's just how I see it. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen that way, but I'm saying.
I don't want to say this next week, okay? Tuukka Rask is not Tristan Jarry. He just isn't.
True.
It's not the same. They're not talented. They're not on the same level of talent. And guess what?
I just want to make sure you saw
Boston
questionnaire, right?
And by the way, just for the record, Boston beat a much more talented team in Washington. They have way more talent than New York does, by far. The Capitals, without a doubt, they have more talent. Okay, so this should not. I'm not saying it should be a lock because, as you said, that defensive weird system. Like it's not
weird. It works. It's straightforward. They play defense first.
Works to a point. It works to a point. It's an end. It's a means. It's an end to a means or whatever. It will not work against Colorado, Vegas, or Tampa. It will not work against full-fledged talented teams. It will not work. It will not. I don't believe it will. I believe it could slow a team down, but it will not. You will not beat a team. You will not sweep or anything. It will take you 7 games if you somehow win. It will not work. You need skill and grit. Everyone knows that. Okay. Guess what? Rangers have way more skill than the Islanders. I think everyone will agree that, but they do not have as much grit as them.
I don't think they have any grit. I'm not going to lie. I mean, like, who do they have on their team that's like even
grit? They did have Lemieux.
Who do they have that's gritty that could that can stay on the ice?
What about Lindgren?
What about
Lindgren?
I guess
I'll give you. Yeah, you gotta give me Lindgren because that dude.
Yeah, no, I'll give you.
He wore his heart on his sleeve. Other than him,
Howden, no.
I would say
he's not a gritty player. I
mean, maybe Blackwell, maybe.
I don't think he's that gritty.
So then it's Lindgren. It's Lindgren. That's it. There's no other answer.
Like my
maybe
personal
Smith. Brendan Smith.
Yeah, like I mean, but he might be gone this season. So
okay, so Lindgren. That's it.
I'm just saying. I mean, like in my opinion, like Joey, like this. Just to throw back a second, like I would have rather had Foss, with all due respect to Colin Blackwell, who had a very good season and definitely surprised me. I would have rather Jesper Foss, and I'm sure you would.
I know what you're saying, but the contract was just not worth it. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I hear that.
He was asking for a lot of money, and we just couldn't give it to him. Carolina is a small market team who doesn't have to pay anyone because all their stars are young, right? So who are they paying? Hamilton?
I mean, they are paying Aho now.
Yeah, Aho is he's the only big contract that, which is crazy because he's so young. But like saying they don't have so many big contracts. Everyone's on a team friendly deal, so we couldn't afford him. It's just a fact. Colin Blackwell was a freaking.
But anyway,
you didn't know who he was. You didn't know who he was when we signed him. So yeah,
I knew who he was. I just didn't think they were going to sign him.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
Anyway, let's move on.
We talked about this.
Next series.
All right, Tampa, Carolina. The one game
won tonight. Game 5. Sorry, not Game 6. Game 5 tonight. It's in Carolina, and I think they could stave off elimination, but I just don't think they're going to win the series anymore.
They're winning tonight. I don't give a shit. Tampa's winning tonight. Sorry, Carolina, your reign is over. You play a great game, but your goaltending is not there. Maybe Djokovic steals one for you, but I doubt it, bro, because Mrazek is not your guy. Djokovic might be your guy, or he might just be a Jari right now. Might be a Jari.
Well, look, I would tell you this. If anyone could steal one game against the Lightning specifically, I would bet Mrazek. It hasn't worked yet, though, and like that coming into this series,
but he sucks, bro. He sucks.
I mean, like all those years in Detroit, that when they were a playoff team, they still had the likes of Datsuk and Zetterberg and DeKaiser and I mean, like Helm is still with them, but like before the likes of the fact that they had like Larkin and Mantha and Bertuzzi and all those guys, and they still had like Riley Shahan and Abdelkader was a lot better, and Tomas Tatar.
You get it? They were a good team. We know
those guys. Yeah, Nike was like, it's a different story in Detroit, to say the least. But Tampa Bay, holy crap, that team is loaded.
That team is Detroit. Steve Yzerman, Mr. Detroit, literally constructed that team. He found freaking pieces of garbage and made them into amazing. Killorn, Palat, and Johnson. No one knew who the hell they were, and they were all like late draft. He made them all. He is so good. Detroit will be a good team in a few years. That's for sure. As long as he's riding the ship, they will be.
They're hitting on picks. Look, they've hit on some picks so far.
So there's no way, man. You're not being Tampa. I'm sorry, you're not doing it. They're too good. They were already a really good team before. When Stamkos and Kucherov were injured or injury or whatever you want to call that. Now that they're both back, they both seem fine. No, they seem better than fine. They seem skillful and elite like they used to be. They literally have not missed a beat this whole series, man. They have not missed a beat. The only person that's actually doing crap on Carolina, no offense to that top line, is Jordan Stahl, who you wouldn't think would do anything, but is having actually a really good playoffs. So good for him. But like that top line's got to produce, otherwise they're losing tonight. So, and I think they will. So yeah, Tampa in 5.
On to
Montreal, Winnipeg. I'm just gonna say one thing. I said Winnipeg
series so far.
I said that Winnipeg was gonna win. That was before the Scheifele incident. Okay.
Like I also said that. And that was also
now that he's out. And he's out for 1 game or 2 games. They gave him a full 4. There's no shot. Even if they win tonight, they're not playing tonight. Are they playing tonight? Tomorrow. Even if they win tomorrow, which I don't even think they will, they would not get past 5. It's just not happening. They are literally in desperation mode. This is like what the Oilers were dealing with, except no, it's actually more of like the Canadians, right? Because the Canadians, I actually thought, I know all the years before with Toronto, but I actually thought Toronto actually should have won that series. And the reason they didn't was because, I'm not kidding, I really thought because Tavares and Muzzin were out. I really thought that brought all the locker room like presence and all the skill that Tavares brings and the good defense that Muzzin brings. Like it hurt. It hurt a lot. And I legitimately, with the leadership and the skill, if you look up Winnipeg Jets goals all time, you know who 1 and 2 are? It's Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele. Okay? Those are the most points in Winnipeg Jets history. Those two. You're telling me your second best leading scorer in history is not going to make a difference? Of course, it's going to make all the difference in the world. I'm sorry. They're losing tonight, and it sucks because this was such a feel-good team. Paul Maurice was a likable coach. Connor Hellebuyck was the best goalie. Connor Hellebuyck is the best goalie in the league. Like, they had everything going for them, and now it's all ruined. And the only person I'm actually happy for in Montreal is Corey Perry, because he's just proving to everyone that he should not have been let go by Anaheim, and also last year by Dallas, because every team he's been on, he still has that playoff experience and grit, skill and grit. Okay, he's playing on the fourth line, I'm pretty sure, and he's scoring. Him and Eric Stahl, who's also playing pretty well after getting out of that shithole in Buffalo. Anyway, all I got to say is I don't know what to say except they're getting swept. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, Montreal, this is the second straight postseason series for them. It's different for them coming into where they are in game 4 now because, last series they were able – I'm not going to say it like it didn't affect anything. Like, they were able to take advantage of the fact that John Tavares was out, and they've clearly taken advantage of the fact that Mark Scheifele is out. And, I mean, how about the role play of some of these players that aren't – you wouldn't expect to see them, like, on the scorecard every night. Obviously, with Montreal, you expect to see guys like Nick Suzuki, Tyler Toffoli, Paul Byron on occasion, who's scored some big goals in the playoffs, Kotkaniemi's in that top 6, Brendan Gallagher, Philip Deneau. And you're getting depth scoring out of guys like Joel Armia.
By the way, Joel Armia used to play for the Winnipeg Jets. Him and Ben Sherratt. So that's poetic justice. That's pretty cool. So he scored two against them.
Those guys, they're getting some depth scoring from Joel Armia. And Cole Caulfield, who hasn't scored a goal, but he's been a heck of a player so far. He's had his chances. He's set some great plays up. I think he does have a couple points, like assists in this series, but he hasn't scored a goal yet. And their defense, too. I mean, like, they focused more. They were such an offensive, threatening blue line the last 2 seasons with Weber and Petrie and even Sherratt, who's picked it up big time, in terms of offensive production. And ever since the coaching change, they still have their threats. Weber still has the hardest shot in the NHL and accurate, like not just like, the hardest shot and he misses the net frequently. Like, no, he hits the net. Petrie's still doing an excellent job there. Sherratt's doing a great job. They brought in Eric Gustafsson, through the trade with the Flyers, who's an excellent blue line threat from the point offensively. But they're teaching them to defend more now. And you saw it against Toronto. I mean, even with John Tavares, they stole a game. I mean, like for most of the game, at least, because, Tavares got injured halfway through or just over halfway through. But with that being said, at the same time, like, this is a good Jets. Like, this is a loaded offense for the Winnipeg Jets. Defense is probably their main flaw, and even so, Hellebuyck backs them up. But on offense, you've got Scheifele, you've got Wheeler, you've got Ehlers, you've got Connor, you've got Dubois, you've got Stastny, and even, like, the guys who, as I mentioned with Montreal, some of their depth players, you've got excellent depth players in Winnipeg. Kopp is having a great season, has had a great season and a good postseason. Lowry's had a good postseason. Mason Appleton's had a great postseason. And other than that, you still have your classic guys like Matthew Perreault. And on the back end, you've got guys like Morgan Stanley still. And, I mean, Josh Morrissey and Neil Pionk have been a phenomenal first line pairing together. But, I mean, it's just not like they were excellent against Edmonton. They shut down 2 of the top 5 talents in the NHL in Draisaitl and McDavid. But I mean, it's just falling to nothing against a far less talented Montreal team, but a way more hardworking Montreal team, if that makes sense. It's kind of like the roles are reversed here, where in that series between Edmonton and Winnipeg, I feel like Edmonton was by far the more talented team, even with all the offensive firepower I just mentioned on Winnipeg, just because, I mean, like McDavid and Draisaitl alone are just that good compared to everyone. And this time you've got Montreal coming in, right? And while you would think like, okay, they're the team with less firepower, they've come out and basically, like that's how it was last series with Winnipeg and Edmonton. Like you would have thought it was the opposite, but Winnipeg ended up being the team with way more firepower. And that the Oilers, and the Oilers weren't. And now this series, you're seeing the exact opposite. Like you would have thought the same thing, but the exact opposite's happening now. Like again, but this time it's biting Winnipeg in the ass. I just don't know how to put it. And let's also not forget about Carey Price. He saved the Canadiens.
He's playing like his old self. He's playing really well.
He saved the Canadiens in Game 6 last series against Toronto with that backhand stop on Austin Matthews. And, I mean, he's done nothing but shut the Jets down. I mean, I know they're playing without Scheifele, but even without Scheifele, and I know you said, second all-time scorer, Wheeler's insane. Ehlers has been amazing since coming back, for the start of the playoffs from that injury he had for the last few weeks. And Connor's been great. Dubois is still a huge threat. Stastny still brings a lot of depth to scoring. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this series. I'm rooting for Winnipeg to win at least one game, but I don't.
You don't want to get swept after just sweeping. That's the worst feeling,
these are two likable teams. I don't want to see either of them get swept. But I mean, if it had, look, I'm not gonna be heartbroken over it. I'll feel obviously
No, I'll be upset, but I won't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they don't. I think Scheifele deserves more because I don't think he should have been suspended 4 games. I don't think that was a hit as, dirty as it might have seemed. Just trying to swing momentum. We talked about it last week, how, what they did with what the Rangers did with Tanner Glass against the Senators and what the Senators did with Zach Smith against the Rangers in the 2017 playoffs with that series knotted up at 2 games apiece, coming in around that area. It's just a momentum thing. And I mean, Winnipeg was just trying to swing momentum in their favor. If it, if Scheifele, it's just a hit after a goal. That's all it really was. And granted, I know it was a tough hit. I just want to point something out, NHL, by the way. Scheifele does that. He gets suspended for 4 games, okay? Tom Wilson nearly decapitates Artemi Panarin, and he just gets fined $5,000. There really is something wrong with that. I'm not the guy to tell you, I know I'm a nobody to tell you if anyone ever sees this with any sort of authority in the NHL. I know I'm a nobody compared to, one of the head office, guys in the front office of a team like James Dolan who spoke out against it. But with that being said, there is a real problem there. The guy's season ended. His life could have ended. And here, granted, I know, look, tough hit. But, Jake Evans is alive. Jake Evans wasn't about to die in that moment. His season's not over. His team's still going on. And it's just, it's bothersome. And the thing is, Scheifele doesn't even have that reputation either. See, Wilson has way beyond just a reputation, if you ask me.
I think the reason why they did it is because the actual optics of what Scheifele's hit does, because it's actually really weird. It's a weird thing. I guess because it was going so full speed, I don't know what it did to Evans, but the way he looks dead. It's the weirdest thing. For 5-10 seconds, he actually looks dead. So maybe that's why they did it. Maybe because of the way it looked, a 5-second clip, out of context. But there is context here. He's not a repeat offender, and he's supposed to be going full speed because he's trying to save a goal. People will argue he in a split second he changed his mind and didn't go for the goal and just went for the hit. But I don't know, man. It's a split second. It was not. I don't think he from the outset he decided I'm going to hit this guy.
Yeah, it wasn't a timely manner thing. It was Wilson openly decided I'm going to try and just absolutely wreck this guy.
He's like, oh, you want to mess, even though he didn't. He just wanted him to stop punching Strome and Buchnevich. He's like, nope. Okay, we'll fight. I choose violence, and I'm going to take you by the hair and just throw you down and hurt you when you're down. Fuck that guy. Anyway.
Have to stick.
I know everyone.
A stick shaft, a stick blade to the guy's throat. That could have been catastrophic.
Yeah, I know. I know everyone hates Dolan what he does in the Knicks, but that was not a Knicks situation. That tweet. He was every right to say that, and he was gonna get fined. And it's not a money thing about him. It's about doing what's right. And I'm sorry, but having a goon be the head of player safety is an absolute joke. It's a joke. Okay.
Yeah. Look, I'm not here to call George Peros out. I'm trying to make a point saying that I'm
not saying a goon.
I'm just playoffs fine. It's a harder situation to judge because you never know who's going farther if they're really even gonna play. But I mean whatever. I'm not gonna I'm not here to call him out. And I know that honestly I trust him more than I trust anyone else. Quite honestly, just because that's what he made of his career. He only scored Like he wasn't a goal scorer in his career.
Dude, he was a literal goon. He just hit people. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna like whatever. I'm not here to call him out, but I am trying to make a point for anyone who does see this that like there is a problem with the fact that a guy who was almost killed by someone else only got fined $5,000, while this guy might have looked worse at the moment, but in reality came almost nowhere near what that other guy did, and at the same time had not like ever done anything at that. Like, while the other guy had a heavy reputation for doing it.
I'm just saying, in the past, you had Brian Burke, from TSN, and Brendan Shanahan were the directors of player safety. You're telling me that you would rather you'd have a goon replace those guys over just anyone else?
I'm not saying that, Joey, but
no, that's a rhetorical question. I didn't expect you to answer. I'm just saying, like, that's a joke, absolute joke, because he's gonna protect his own. That's what it feels like, because, it just bothers me to this day that he didn't get a suspended. Well,
he's out. Wilson's out.
That's the only good thing about this. He's out of the playoffs. That's the only good thing. Hopefully, he never sniffs the cup again. Yeah. Sorry, Novi.
And again, like, I'm not even like just to end this, like, my point. I'm not even asking that like Wilson is like banned from the NHL. It was that one game, just that next game. That's all you had to do. All you had to do. I couldn't have cared less if the guy would have played a game after, if they would have suspended him, and he would have had 10 goals. I could not have cared less. I did not want him in the lineup against the Rangers. Like, that is my team, right? That is my that is my home team. That is the team I pride myself on rooting for, and an original six franchise, let alone with arguably the best left winger in the game today, and arguably the brightest up and coming future over the next five to 10 years. If all goes well, and with the world's most famous arena being their home, and the history that surrounds them, like, that is like that. Like, I can't believe like it wasn't even just that one game. Yeah. And yet, even so, like, they had to take a penalty for him to get thrown out for like a good 10 minutes. Like, it's just ridiculous. And like, even the fact that the game that he put the hit and that he caused the problem, he wasn't even kicked out. Just the rest of that game is problematic. So
yeah, they don't.
That's where I'm gonna end with this, and I want to forget about it and go on to the next round, Joey. I don't know.
Fuck Tom Wilson. We're not actually done because we forgot to mention the best playoff series by far in this.
I want to go on to the next round. Anyway,
so this is Avs Vegas, and it did not disappoint. No, sir.
Not one bit.
Although, let's be honest, game one, it's flawed because Leonard was the goalie because they had played a game 7. So
Colorado had a lot of rest.
They swept, so they had a lot of rest. And then once we got to game 2, I'm not trying.
I knew it was going to be different when Fleury.
I'm not trying to make it different. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I did feel like that penalty that Smith took in overtime was a bit weak. But at the end of the day, they scored, so they're up 2-0. Then Vegas, baby, in their home, game 3, are just raping the Avalanche, man. It's just amazing. It's fantastic. And then in game 4, Brandon Saad scores a goal. He scores a goal.
Minute 50 in, my image.
Exactly.
Less than 2 minutes in.
A very deflating feeling when the away guy just scores very soon in the game. And this is not just any player. This is one of the best playoff players of the decade in Brandon Saad. I'm not looking it up, but I imagine he has a lot of playoff goals in this decade.
He does. Well, last decade, but yeah.
Not just with the Blackhawks. People forget he was on the Blue Jackets too. So
yep.
In that one year, he was very good.
Yeah, I mean, look, they lost in the first round, but he had like 5 or 6 goals in like 5 games, which is pretty good. So
yeah, he's just phenomenal. That whole team's phenomenal. Both whole teams are phenomenal. And then you get into the Vegas side of things, and it's crazy. Okay, I forgot who it was on the second line. Was it Smith or Marchessault? Someone hit the post, and you're like, "Oh, it's in," but no. And then
Smith hit the post.
And Smith hit the post, and I'm like, "Oh, is it in? Is it in?" And then they're like, "Nope." And then literally like 5 seconds later, Carlson, like, backhand, no looks, to Marchessault, and he scores a goal. And I'm like, all right, whatever, weird goal. Now it's tied. And then they get a crazy, 3-on-2 rush? Or was it 3-on-1?
No, it was a 3-on-2.
3-on-2, top line. Stone, who's honestly the most valuable player on this team by far. Maybe you could say Fleury, but I think it's Stone.
Offenseman. Let's say
skater. Best offenseman. Yeah. Stone.
Or skater.
Best skater. Okay, best skater. Anyway, he just does what he does, gives it to Patches. Patches snipes it, and it's just a beauty, right? And then I'm trying to remember what exactly the goal was like. You could just try reminding me, but it was Marchessault who got a second goal, I believe. Right?
Yeah, he did. It was a power play goal.
Oh, yeah. It was a cross ice. This way. It was going this way. Cross ice pass. One-timer from Pietrangelo. Now I remember. And then there were 2 more goals. Was it Marchessault again after, or was it someone else?
No, it was Patrick Brown first.
Patrick Brown, the 4th-line center, scored a goal. Okay, that's when you know it's bad. And then Jonathan Marchessault scores a hat trick in the playoffs. That's his first ever hat trick in a playoff hat trick. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Okay, that's the highlight of that from last night. That was amazing. Sorry, yeah. I'm venting, but yeah.
And I mean, I just want to point out, like, the fact that Marchessault scores a hat trick and he's not like overly vocal and like vulgar about it. Like, Marchessault is probably like, humble. I mean, other than like the elite players you talk about with like McKinnon, Crosby, McDavid, Ovechkin, all those guys who have had playoff success or have at least been there and been like looked up to heavily, is probably like the biggest mensch you're ever going to meet. I mean, like, for those who don't understand, probably
he's the good guy. He's the good guy.
Like, simply, like, no other way to put it. He's not a taunter. I mean, like, obviously it's great to show emotion, but like, he does that with his own teammates. He's not here to BS the other team. He's not here to crap on the other team's coach and their players. And like, for example, to let the crowd hear it, like, oh, F off. Like, when he was with Vegas, not when, like, he's been with Vegas, but in 2019, when, even though they lost this game, when the Sharks had that crazy Game 7 against them in San Jose, and they were about to win the game with 47 seconds left, he scored a tying goal with his net empty. You didn't hear him like, oh, like, put his ear up or like, do this, like, shush the crowd. Like, he was pumped up, but, he fist bumped his teammates. That could have easily been like a big FU moment to the crowd. Like, very easily could have been. And I mean, like, it's one thing to do that at home, like in front of your fans. I feel like, to let your fans, like, to take it in from your fans. But I mean, like, just like, I mean, his sportsmanship is phenomenal, I think. That's like the biggest thing off the ice, or not off the ice, the biggest thing that doesn't factor in his actual skill and play style, I think, which is what makes him like such a well-respected player and a guy who more players, by his teammates, and now starting to gain the respect of other players just in general. He's not a dirty player, and he's simply a workhorse. That's what he is. And he's been underappreciated by so many people and so many front offices and staffs and teams and everything that, I mean, like, honestly, signing that extension in Vegas was the best thing I've ever seen happen. So
yeah, personally, I would nominate him right now for the Lady Byng. If anyone doesn't know, that's like basically a
sportsmanship.
It's basically a sportsmanship trophy. And one of the nicest guys last year and still this year got it, Nathan McKinnon. So definitely Marchessault should definitely be up there, man. He's a good guy. He's a very good guy. And I know I said Stone was the most valuable skater, but I think Marchessault's the X factor. I think he will be the difference maker in these series. I don't think he's going to score another hat trick, but he's scoring at a crazy pace. He legitimately, I don't know what it is. Maybe he has Grubauer's number, that kind of thing where like you play really well against a certain team. Maybe, or maybe he's just always like this. I don't know. Like he's always been great, but has he been like he's playing, I feel like, elite right now. Like he's playing like when they had that first line years ago, when they didn't have Pacioretty or Stone, they just had these 3 guys. William Karlsson, who broke out, nobody knew about him. And then the 2 teammates, Riley Smith and Jonathan Marchessault.
People knew had a high ceiling, but didn't exactly.
They didn't think he was going to play like this. No.
No one thought they were going to rip the league to shreds. They thought it would be a good first line, but no one thought they were going to shred the league.
No, nobody thought that. But you know what? It's a testament to players who feel snubbed how much they have a chip on their shoulder, and it also is a testament to how great of a coach Gerard Gallant is and was for them. And hopefully, just harking back, maybe we get that Vegas magic. Anyway, how do you see this series going, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I called it in 7 before with Vegas winning, but while I said, like, again, I'm not gonna dishonor that prediction, but like just for assessing the situation, I think that every home game is going to be won by the home team. So, I mean, for assessing the situation where it is now, I think Colorado will probably win the series. But look, it's not going to shock me at all. Vegas has momentum. And I know they played Leonard in one of those games. Look, Colorado beat Fleury also. Granted, it was a much tighter game. Vegas had an opportunity to learn a lot from that first game. Vegas, it would shock me if one of these teams lost the next two in blowout fashion back-to-back times. So, or honestly, so for Vegas, that would mean if they blow out the Avalanche in the next game, that would shock me for two reasons. Because one, I don't think Colorado is that bad that they'll let it happen again. And two, I mean, it's on their home ice and they've been dominant, and not just the postseason, but all regular season, they've been dominant on their home ice. They have a ridiculous, I don't even remember what it was, but I think coming into the playoffs, the last 15 home games, they were 11-1-3 or something like that. That's unheard of. That's ridiculous. 15 games coming into the postseason on home ice, the last 15 games, and they only missed out on 2 points. That's 28 points right there, Joey, in 15 games. That's unheard of. That's just simply unheard of. I don't know where else you could ever get that.
I mean, two of the best teams in the league. So,
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think they are the best team in the league, at least talent-wise. I think Vegas is the best, team in the league, if that makes any sense. So.
Oh, if you're saying on paper who has more talent, yeah, I'll give you the Avalanche.
Oh, no, Colorado, without a doubt. It's kind of I'm not even going to.
If I'm being honest, I think the team is what's going to win. So
yes,
I'm saying,
which is why I predicted that.
I don't know if it's maybe because they've had 3 years together, but I don't know, man. I just
know this Avalanche team. I mean, other than Brandon Saad and Nazem Kadri, who's not even. I mean, right now that's showing. And look, if Kadri comes back, that could swing this series. I know I said I don't, and I still don't think that he's going to make or break the Avalanche's game. But I mean, it's clearly showing that having a little less depth for them is not the way they want it to go. And while it looked like it wouldn't be any factor after game 1, I think now you're starting to see it a little bit more. Granted, they're still a lethal team with that big three in Rantanen, McKinnon, and Landeskog, and even their top 6 to finish it off with Burakovsky and Donskoy, and whether it's going to be Brandon Saad or Tyson Jost or JT Comper, they're still a loaded team down low and on the blue line. I mean, Devon Toews and Cal McCarr have been nearly unstoppable. And Patrick Nemeth has been great in his second stint with them. Sam Girard's been fantastic with them. I mean, Ryan Graves is a freaking warrior still. And, I mean, even Connor Timmins on occasion, steps up with massive play. So, I mean, obviously it's tough to beat Grubauer. But, I mean, look, Vegas also has that 3-headed monster of Carlson, Marchessault, and Smith. While, granted, I definitely don't think they're as talented. They could be pretty pesky. I mean, we know that. Mark Stone's probably a top 3 two-way player in the game. He might be the best, quite honestly.
He's probably getting the what's it called? The what that there's Selke. That the one that's that award. What's it called?
Selke.
Yeah, the Selke. Yeah, the best defensive forward. I know it's gonna be Bergeron for the 15th time. No, it's going to. It's going.
I would rather Stone win it, but it won't shock me if Bergeron does it, just because Bergeron is.
No. And there's also O'Reilly, but no, I'm giving it to Stone.
No, it's not. It better not be O'Reilly. No? With that being said,
but it's gonna be Stone, baby. It's gonna be Stone.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the depth Vegas has is also incredible. I mean, Kolasar with Ryan Reeves. And we mentioned Patrick Brown, who scored.
I didn't even know existed, bro, and he scored a goal in the playoffs. So
William Carrier is still great. I mean, Chandler Stevenson, normally a guy you'd consider at depth, but he's playing on the top line, and he deserves to be playing on the top line. He brings a level of speed that not many other centers can add. I mean, we know about McKinnon, we know about McDavid, And we know, we know about Marchessault, but Chandler Stevenson he could fly. I feel like no one appreciates that Vegas team and that Colorado team together. They just play they play very fast paced system, and they're excellent skating teams. I can't get over enough how important a piece he is to that team, how important Stevenson is a piece to that Golden Knights team. That makes it kind of flies under the radar that he's playing on the top line with the two best wingers that team has in Pacioretty and Stone.
So, McKinnon's doing the same exact thing, only he's also good on his own right too. So
yeah, that's true. Stevenson definitely needs a little more help than Nathan McKinnon. Let's get that straight. But in terms of just how he skates and what he does right fundamentally is very underrated, I think, compared to the all-star centers in the league who you think of when you think McKinnon, when you think McDavid, when you think Crosby, when you think Bergeron in the playoffs, when you think Barzal, who's getting better in the playoffs, and even guys like Sebastian Aho and Barkov who were in earlier. Aho's still, but Barkov isn't anymore, and Austin Matthews and Draisaitl also. I didn't mention him. So anyway, just to show though, and again, I don't know if you have any how are you predicting this?
Well, I'm not changing my prediction. Vegas in 7.
Vegas in 7. Okay.
Best series in the playoffs we're gonna have. Hopefully not the best, but it probably might be the best one.
Again, I'm gonna say it and I can't reiterate this enough times, but it's just sad how one of these teams has to go home before the conference finals. Before the conference finals, this would be this matchup is like Rangers Lightning of 2015, where you had the best offensive team against the best all-around team in the NHL that season. That's just what it was, except you got it around later than around earlier. And I would have much rather had this in the conference finals. Because the Avalanche are the best offensive team in the league this year. I don't think there's much question with that. And Vegas, I think, is the best all-around team in the league. It's just a shame that because of the stupid division realignment, otherwise they could be playing each other in the conference finals.
No,
because Vegas was in the West while Colorado was in the Central. So
they would have, probably.
It could have met. I'm not saying it was a lock, but it would have been a lot more likely, obviously.
Yeah, so now I'm hoping they play either, the winner of Boston, New York, or Montreal, Winnipeg. I do not want whoever wins this. I don't want either one of them to play Tampa because that would just suck for this. That'd be such a
yeah. Can I just make one last point, by the way? I just realized
you can make a million points, but I know you're on the clock, so whatever you want.
This is the last point I have to make before I am okay wrapping it up. I don't know if you want to add anything, Joey, but other than Vegas and Colorado and Carolina, there's not one 2-seed or higher left. Everyone else is 3 and 4. Could we just marvel at the fact?
Oh, Tampa's a 3. I didn't even think about that.
Tampa's a 3.
Yeah, but they're not a real 3. Come on,
they're not a real 3. Okay, so even if you want to include them, then.
But yeah, I hear you though. There's only 2 1 seeds left. That's crazy, by the way. Why is that? Why? I can't believe Carolina and Florida had a better record than Tampa. That's crazy. I figured one of them was gonna have a better record, but not both of them. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is nuts. There's just I guess it just goes to show you the classic quote from Coach Brooks from the U.S. men's Olympic team. Joey, why don't you fill the blank?
Great moments come from great opportunity?
No.
Dude, that's not fair.
Herb Brooks, talent, buddy. With talent.
That's not fair. Herb Brooks had a 50 million quotes.
Say the talent one. Say the talent one.
I don't remember that one off the top of my head. You could do it. No problem.
Hard work beats talent. Fill in the blank.
Okay, hard work beats talent. What was the second part of that?
When talent
works hard. Right? No, hold on. Wait, I remember it now. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Right? No? What?
Well, clearly I have to show you. I'm not even going to I'm not going to lose my voice.
Let me think.
Buddy.
What?
Read the damn quote like you mean it.
Okay, let me just see because hold on. How do I? Give me a sec. Relax.
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Say it normally. You pause in between each time.
Sorry. Hard work beats talent when okay, great. It's fine. It's not a big deal, okay? It's not as iconic as great moments come from great opportunity.
Okay, whatever. We're ready to wrap it up because stuff. So yeah. Joey,
no, I gotta say something. Hold on, because now you poke the bear. So I'm going to say 3 Herb Brooks quotes, my favorites. Okay. Right now you're playing worse and worse every day, and right now you're playing like it's next month. That's 1. You look like you have a 5-pound fart on your head. That's 2. And my favorite, if you lose this game, you'll take it to your grave, your fucking grave. Okay? So those are the ones that stick out to me, Josh. Fuck you. And that's the show. You want to close it out, Josh?
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today to the JJ Sports Podcast. Please forgive Joey for his over-aggressiveness at the very end.
Please forgive Josh for his knowledge of her.
It's my fault that you couldn't get the arguably most famous quote.
That's not the most famous quote.
Okay, whatever. We're done with this debate. Again, thank you all for tuning in. If you tuned in this whole time, you're an absolute trooper. Like, comment, subscribe. We'd like to hear from you guys. We hope that you enjoyed this video and this episode. For the final time signing off today, I'm Josh.
And I'm Joey.
Peace out.
See ya.